This is a Wednesday night channeling, number 164, May 15th, 1991, and it's the Master tonight. Giving credit where credit is due. So many times we omit expressing outwardly the beauty of a sunset or a sunrise, or we think how bright and shiny one looks, how good they are performing. We miss an opportunity to share the beauty of God's presence and His love at work when we keep silent. The Father's beauty and love is continuously manifesting itself in all His creations, and the more recognition we give it, the more aware of it we are. When we omit one shiny countenance, it confirms, let me read that over. When we comment on one shiny countenance, it confirms the presence to that individual and helps them to maintain it. It makes them feel good about themselves. Most everyone on your plane could use encouragement to think better of themselves. Remember, we are gods, no matter what we appear to be at the moment. Some are speeding toward their manifestation of their godhood, while others move in a more slowly to get, and that's about all I got. Oh. Come in. Good evening, my little ones. My presence is very strong and powerful because of your love that you are sending and the love that you are emitting outward. It is a wonderful and beautiful experience to come and join with you in this circle of light. I would that we could photograph it for you and show you the brightness of your circle and your teachers and guides as they stand behind you and beside you, and all of those who come to be with you at this time. In your mind's eye, see the beauty and the glory of God's presence in each and every one that is here. Give it recognition, and give God a recognition in each and every one. And as you go through your day, remember to see God everywhere present, everywhere that you go. See God even in your traffic as you go about what you do. And if you can get adjusted to this kind of thinking, if you can remember that God is all that there is, then can you be happy and at peace within yourself, no matter what the outward experience appears to be. It is important to remember to judge not by appearances, but judge righteous judgment. It is important for you, for your sake, and for your growth, to see the truth behind the illusions of this plane. Did you know that when you look through the illusions of this plane and see the beauty of God, that you dispel part of the illusions, you dispel part of the dark, negative thoughts cloud that is built up around this planet? When you see God, then you are projecting God's presence, and the other is fading out. I would have you to know this and to understand that you are God incarnate, and I would have you to think of yourself in this way. It is not sacrilegious. It is truth. When you think of yourself as God incarnate in the physical, then can you think of yourself in a beautiful and wonderful way. Pay no attention to what your body says to you, or what you think your body looks like, or your mind and what you think you don't know. Concentrate on the answer, my dear ones, and the answer is God and God's love. It is His beauty that is everywhere, if we look to see it. Remember when you were children, some of you may have had a bad experience in childhood, but some of you had an experience of beauty and joy, and even in a deserted alley or deserted lot where there were only weeds, you saw beauty, and you played in the weeds and enjoyed it to the fullest. Remember these times and bring them forward into your conscious awareness, and allow God's presence to be in your thoughts. Allow His love to be your motto, for in His love you contain all that there is God's love, for God is love. When you allow yourself, your thoughts to be loving, then your countenance changes, and you radiate the beauty of God's love. You allow yourself to be loving. You allow yourself to be loving to others, no matter what they are doing or not doing. You allow yourself to know that it matters not what the economy is doing. It matters not what the business world and all of this activity, for it is only a play on a stage. It is here for your growth. It is here for you to rise above, to go through your play and play your part, but see the truth. See God's presence everywhere that you look, and give credit. And when you see someone that has a beautiful dress or is bright and shiny, tell them so. If they're having a bad time, do not tell them that they're bright and shiny, but smile at them and pat them on the back maybe, and give whatever help seems right at the moment. God is everywhere present. He is in everyone, no matter what part they're playing. And as you see God in everyone and everywhere, you project His presence into that individual, into that situation, into that so-called problem. Do you see the picture? Can you see that when you pay no attention to the problem, but give your attention to the answer, to God's love and His presence, then the answer manifests itself. It may not at that moment, but if you continue to see God, if you continue to send His love into every place that you go, and to be aware of His love and His beauty, then are you living the life that you're intended to live. Then are you bringing heaven on earth in your own consciousness. This is the reason for your being here, is to bring heaven on earth in your consciousness. What others do in their consciousness is up to them. But in your consciousness, in your thoughts, in your feelings, in your moods, in your attitudes, see and feel the presence of God's beauty and His glory and His love. Look beyond and through this outer play that you could do the opposite, and sometimes you do. You get upset within yourself and you see all the things that are going on in the world, and you say, why am I here, and why are these things happening? I tell you, my dear ones, there is a reason, and that you do create your own reality. You live in your consciousness, and if you see God everywhere you look, even in the storms, even in the so-called destruction of the storms and the things that happen, if you see God's handiwork and realize that there is a reason behind this, and know that it all works together for good. When you know this and can see it, then you are bringing God's beauty and glory and His love into that situation. And you are also raising your own consciousness to the truth, to the reality of life, above and beyond the illusions of this plane. Yes, we will continue to have storms. We will continue for a while to have destructive, so-called destructive things that happen around. But realize within yourself, in your own physical body, when you have poison in your body, you want to get it out. And it is the same with your planet and the atmosphere around your planet. When man thinks negative thoughts to such a degree, then something has to give. And the so-called storms is the outward manifestation of the negative thoughts that are in the atmosphere around your planet, of what you call the atmosphere. We call the ethers. When you can understand this, then you realize that it is working together for good. It is like a boil that you have. Very few of you have boils anymore because you have the right kind of diet. But when some of you were young, you had boils. And when the boil burst and ran over, then it began to heal. And it is the same with your planet, my dear ones. and the individuals on your planet. These are poisons, in a sense, as you would think of them, coming to head so that the healing process can take place. And when you can see this and know the truth about it, and see God and God's love working in all these things, then can you see the truth. Then can you know the truth, and the truth sets you free from the illusions of this plane, sets you free to build your consciousness with the structure of God's love and God's beauty and God's glory. You are manifesting then God in the physical when you look through and beyond this play and the things that happen in this play. As you move through this incarnation, as you learn and grow, and some of you in this circle are growing. Some of you are growing a little, and some of you are growing a lot. Some of you are just beginning to give yourself the opportunity for great growth. I encourage you to continue with this. I encourage you to open that inner eye and see the truth of life. And this is not a psychic or phenomena thing that I am talking about. I'm talking about seeing what is happening on your plane, but knowing the truth about it. That is when you see with the inner eye. You see and know that we have created certain conditions, and they have to be corrected. When more people, more individuals on your plane come to understand this, then will your wars cease. Then will those who are drawn to commit murder and to steal and to do the things that disrupt the harmony of your plane, they will fade out. And I tell you, this day will come, my dear ones, when you will be free of these kind of conditions on your plane. And you can speed it up by seeing the truth. You can speed it up by expressing the beauty of God outwardly as well as in your own heart. You can speed it up by doing your part, by concentrating and working with the answer. The answer is God's love. Thinking God's love, feeling God's love. All of these things, as you go through your day, make a habit of being loving, no matter what happens around you. This does take courage, and it takes strength, spiritual strength and spiritual power. And remember, my dear ones, you cannot do it with your physical conscious self-awareness. But through God's strength and God's power, all things are possible. And if you take God's awareness with you, and you see God and God's love everywhere you go, then God is in your consciousness, and all things are possible to you. There are so many who concentrate on the problem without knowing it from what you think of as an unconscious or subconscious level because of the patterns that you have built into your consciousness for many eons of time. You are now ridding yourself of these, and some of you are doing well with this. And I would commend you, continue to do this, continue to work with this, and remember who you are. Remember who you truly are. I feel that this night we would have many questions that you would like to ask, and the answers are all within you, but it is nice to express them outwardly and to ask them and get them out in the open in this circle of light where we can see them more clearly. When you are in the world by yourself, it is not as easy to see clearly as it is when you are in this circle of light, when you come together and all your teachers and these beings of light are here to lend their power and their light of understanding in your minds. And let me tell you something that you can do is that when you are in the world by yourself, going through the play, and you feel caught up in the world in a negative way, or you let your guard down a little bit, use your inner image and see yourself in this circle of light and see all the shining beings around you and all this light and love and beauty. And my dear ones, it is there if you use your inner image and bring it into your mind. All the power that is here this moment can be with you at any moment of your time on this play. Are there questions here this evening that you would like to ask? Comments that you would like to make?
I have a question.
Yes.
In regards to the last statement that you said, that kind of helped it fit. Maybe I can, I'll reiterate, add a little to it in reference to the question. When you're trying to eliminate the negative past conditionings and thoughts by moving it to light more and sending love, that's what I've been working with. Sometimes you get a feeling of the fact that it seems like it was easier when I didn't know everything I know now. I guess for me, it comes to the point of realizing that I'm responsible for everything in my life now. Now I have to deal with it. So it's sometimes the real battle, trying to use that spiritual power when you're not used to it for so many, as you said, eons.
Yes, I understand. You see, before you began to move into the light of understanding in this incarnation and to work with yourself to make the corrections in your consciousness, you, to yourself, you were not accountable in a sense. And so you could go merry on your way without even considering it. And now, when you let your guard down or you feel a little bit low, you begin to struggle, and this is a mistake. When you struggle, you're using the physical self. The most important thing to do is to put aside the struggle and release to God. Just say, God, this is a little bit hard for me to handle. Give me your hand. Let me feel the power of your love, and let it flow through me with a strong current. And let me be aware of you in my consciousness. Or you can say, I just give up from the physical sense point of view and open the door for the light. Use that inner image. That is the most powerful thing you have, besides God's love, is that inner image. You see, that opens the door for God's love. Your imagination is the magic genie, as your teacher has told you, because you see, on your physical plane, you have to have a door over here to get your physical body through it. And on the other dimensions, the inner image is the door to open to the light and to the love. And then you have to give up the old way of feeling by turning it loose, by not struggling with it. There is a whole book in your, whole chapter in your book you call the Bible of Job, that struggled for so long with himself. And finally, he was able to give up and allow God's presence into his consciousness. Yes, we all have that through the day at some times, and we feel a lack. And that is just a concept that you have. It is part of the illusions of this plane. So try not to struggle, but use the inner image and open the door. And it is a good idea to practice this when you're doing well and you're feeling good. So feel better by using the inner image and opening that door and letting in more light and love. And as you practice this, then when you have a time of struggle, it'll be easier for you to open that door. In your countenance, my dear one, I ask your permission to say this. In your way of doing things, in your work, the things that you do in your life, you do struggle. You do things quickly, do you not? Yes. And this is a part of your makeup. And I'm not saying that it is incorrect, but I am saying that it goes along with this other thing that you're talking about. And so realize that when you get down and you try to get up and you're into the light and love, well, you do the same thing because that's what you're used to doing. when you work rapidly and you work hard and you want to do a good job, and that's fine in your physical world. But in your inner world, relax more and be at peace and open that door to let God's love and light come in. Does this help your understanding?
Yes, very much. Thank you.
Are there other questions or comments this evening?
I have a question.
Yes.
More to do with, again, my business or my business involvement rather than personal. And that, why is it that sometimes when we're doing things that are working, that sometimes there is something thrown in there that perhaps another person or another group wants to change what you're doing, even though they know that what they're suggesting is not exactly going to fit or work? And why is it that causes such resistance and such turmoil? Why, Father, I guess what I'm saying is, why try to change something that's working into something that we already know didn't work before? Why do those things happen?
If you will look within yourself, you may find the answer. The earlier part of your life was a struggle, and there is sometimes still the same thing as we were speaking of a moment ago, a struggle to make things perfect or better, that may be unconscious, an influence, a vibration, you might say, within yourself that you're not aware of. When you are in charge of a group or heading a group, then your vibrations go out to this group. It is not all within you. It is also within the others, and it can be their little self. But when you are disturbed by their little self acting up, and that is within you, is it not? And the amount of disturbance determines whether it is a big problem to you or not. When this happens, know within yourself that the world is as it is because of the consciousness of the individuals in this world. And you, in this incarnation, are dealing with others and their consciousness. And this is a particular lesson for you to learn, and you are doing well with it. Be not concerned about this, but realize that it is on part of you, but part of them also. And be not concerned. Do not struggle with it. Change the tilt of the conversation, or change the way that you approach it, and do not give any argument or stress to what is being thrown at you when you know that it is not the better way. Do you understand?
Yes, I do. Thank you very much.
Yes. It is difficult to remember that God's peace and God's love is everywhere present. And it is, as we said earlier, when we look at every situation and every condition and know that God is at work in all of these things, then do we see the truth. Then do we understand that each individual is growing in their own way, and some have to express their little selves for a while, but we do not have to react to it. We can allow them to do this, but yet, if you're in charge, if you're responsible, you do not have to allow them to get away with disruption. You are the one in charge. And when you, let's see, there is a saying, a slang saying, when you keep your cool, isn't it? Then can you be in charge? Then can you control the situation? But when you're agitated or aggravated, then you lose the control of what you're doing. It is a test for all of us. Each one who speaks up and makes these comments, it relates to most everyone else, to some degree or another. Are there other questions this evening?
I just want to make a statement. I just want to thank you for helping you with that last question. I just want to thank you for being here and to say the whole kindness.
It is a great joy for me to be here. This is the work that God has given me to do, to watch over your planet and to project His presence and to awaken His presence within those who are ready. And you who are waking to the real truth, when you go out in the world, you are influencing everyone around you, whether you know it or not, or whether they know it or not. If you come into their presence, your vibrations of love and truth that you have gained is touching their vibrations. And they may not awaken for several lifetimes, but it still is planting seeds on an unconscious level and is helping greatly. Realize this as you go through your play on this stage, and realize that your being here in this circle is spreading the power of God's love, not just to this planet, but to many other planets like it, and all over the universe. There are many planets similar to yours in the universe, similar to yours in growth, I should say, and awareness of the truth of life. And when you send God's love to this planet, send God's love to all other planets like it, or anywhere similar to this planet. because it is just as easy as that to multiply the power of God's love. Or when you're sending love to an individual, send God's love to all others like that. Are there other questions this evening?
Until we make up our mind, and definitely make up our mind to what we really want, we can pretend all we want, but we won't get anywhere, and everything will be against us. But the moment we really make up our mind, everything bends to help us carry it out.
Yes, if we vacillate back and forth, then we lose the power that we try to gain. But when you have made a definite decision and a commitment to yourself and to God that dwells within you, and then move toward that commitment by taking action in your thoughts, in your feelings, in what you do in the world, then do you move with the power of God's love and light. But when you vacillate back and forth, and you think, well, I should do this and I should do that, this is not the attitude to take. Do not even consider it until you are ready. Consider it, yes. This is not correct to say this, but when you decide that you want to take this step and eliminate this negative pattern or whatever it is that you're doing, then do it with all your might. I should say do it with all of God's might, and let Him work through you, because it is impossible for you to do it with your physical self. The thing to remember is to let go and let God. Some of your sayings are very good, but we forget them sometimes.
I have a question.
Yeah.
At first, the other planet are similar to our Earth.
Yes, there are many other planets similar to this planet, and their growth is what I was speaking of. And you are thinking of what kind of bodies do they have, and what do they do. They're all a little different.
They have the same problems like we have, and they have separate problems.
Very similar. Some of them have exactly the same problems, and some have similar problems. Should we say opportunities? And there are many that are in a place of growth that your planet is in. At this particular time, your planet, though, is in a special place where it will be lifted up into that self-illuminating sun or star, whichever you want to call it, in this new age, and you will be able to go with it if you continue to raise your consciousness, continue to grow. Whether you go out of this body and come back several times doesn't matter, or whether you continue to keep this body. But if you continue to grow and continue to move higher in consciousness, you will be able to have this tremendous experience. And I tell you, you have attracted, this planet has attracted many, many from all over the universe to witness this experience. There is no words in your language that I can explain to you the wondrous and beautiful experience that your planet and everything on it is in the process of becoming.
Do you teach in other planets or only on the
Let us just stick to this one planet and not answer this question. It, to some minds, limitation is prevalent, and they might think it would be too much. But you are involved with this planet, and let me assure you that God has given me the charge over this planet, and I have many, many other higher beings of light that are helping to bring this planet into this experience I was speaking of. There are many others from other planets, from all over the universe, who have come also in what you think of as your spacecraft to help you to keep a balance so that you do not destroy your planet. And this is important to understand. And it is good for you to send God's love to all those who are on other dimensions, all those who have come from other planets to help, all those who are working with others from higher dimensions. Every day, send God's love, and send love into the, how shall we say it, into the success of helping the ones, their charges, we call them you. The higher beings on the higher realms, I have to use these words because it is your language, that work with others on lower dimensions, have charges they are assigned to certain individuals, and they work with them exclusively sometimes, and sometimes they have several that they work with according to their need. And in a circle such as this, you have sometimes as many as 10 or more individuals who are working with you in different ways. Are there other questions this evening? And is someone watching the tape, Donna, thinking?
I don't recall hearing who you were tonight. Did I miss this or I don't think it matters.
I'm the one that Donald refers to as the master teacher. I'm the one that set the pattern for you at the beginning of this age, at the end of the last age, to go by. I did not come to save you from your sins, so-called, or your mistaken ideas of life, but I came to set a pattern for you to follow. And if you could follow in these footsteps, then can you be free from these lower dimensions? it was my privilege, and there are many others, such as I, in different cultures, who were Christed and who are Christ, and gave examples for their people. It is a mistake for some of your churches to think that I am the only begotten Son of God. It is the Christ Spirit that is the only begotten Son of God, and the Christ Spirit is in each and every one of you. Does this answer your question? Yeah. It is with great humility that I come to you, and I would ask you to remember not to worship the idol, the man called Jesus, but to follow the ideal, to follow the guidance, the pattern that was laid down. Too many of your religions worship the idol, and this is where they are in their growth, and they need to have this experience. But you have gone beyond this, and you understand that there are many, many throughout the universe who are as high in consciousness and much higher than I am. I have gone through all the experiences that you have gone through in many lifetimes and similar conditions on other planets, and I have incarnated on your planet many times without anyone knowing who it was. This is the ability of one who has reached this level of consciousness to be in many places at one time, for we have overcome the concept of duality and know that there is no such thing as time or space. And so we can manifest here 10 or 20 other places at the same time or more, and be just as powerful, filled with God's love and His beauty as we are here with you tonight.
In these incarnations, were they at your own behest? They as a request of someone else or your own decision? Was it a renowned personage you took on, or just a very simple unknown person? Could you give us some?
It is not important to go into detail, but I only mention this to help you to realize that life is limitless, and to help you to know that you do not have to be limited. And as you raise your consciousness, as you understand, then can you be the master of yourself? Then can you move higher to another dimension and move upward in consciousness. Personalities are not important. they seem to be important on your plane, and you give them great credence. But the spiritual being that dwells behind that persona is the reality of life. And it is interesting, yes, to satisfy your curiosity and to think about these things. But it is my privilege to not go into these details. But thank you for asking.
I don't have a question, but I did want to thank you for an experience I had just recently of knowing and realizing how the unconditional love you've been showering on us and has always been there even when we folded ourselves off to it, or at least think we have done that. It's still there. Thank you.
It is my privilege and a joy. You do not realize yet the joy of serving. You do not realize that to serve God and His children, what a great blessing it is. Some of you think it as drudgery, but when you understand the power and the beauty and the joy and the elation of unconditional love, then do you serve in many, many ways. You are able now to serve God by sending God's love and do a great service to this planet and everyone on it and the whole universe. Use it lavishly. Be of good cheer. Think bright and shiny thoughts, no matter what's happening around you, no matter what others seem to be doing or not doing. Even if they're directing it toward you, you do not have to accept it. You are the master of yourself.
Life has been exquisitely beautiful lately.
Yes. Life becomes more beautiful and more glorious with each little step upward that you take. Are there other questions or comments this evening?
I have a question.
Yes.
Is it because of the so-called illusion that we have of the language that sometimes when I feel this great love, that the urge to turn my face upward and raise my arms and receive that is there because of the concept that we have of the higher, something higher than ourselves?
It is symbolic, yes, and it is good for the subconscious. Do not be concerned about these symbolic things. Do it for your little self and the subconscious, whatever works for you. In your Eastern countries, they use the lotus position, and they feel this is correct, and it feels right for them. The saying is, as a man believeth in his heart, so is he. And when you believe that something is good and something is helpful, then it is. You see, your belief makes it, creates it as a reality. where the,
hands like that, well, up to the sky, and it felt like somebody was kind of pulling me up, but I was just too heavy.
yes. Whatever helps you in your growth is good if it does not harm another.
Thank you. That was the reason I was asking, because even though my mind is telling me that this is not necessary, I still felt my body telling me it would like to do that.
It says the Dead Sea Scrolls, the Mormon tablets, the who could your action? There you go. The Course in Miracles, all these writings. How should we take each one of these as concerns authenticity, how it applies to us? All right, or is that not a good question?
It is a good question, and the answer lies within you. You know the truth. When you read something and it sounds good to you, then it is of God. If it feels good to you, if it helps you in your understanding, and it does not matter what religion or what, where it came from, or how old the scrolls are, or whatever. The Dead Sea Scrolls are buried in your memory banks, my dear ones, because you are the ones who wrote these scrolls. You and many others in other times. You see, you already know this. It is much better to go within yourself to find the truth. But if you read a book like the Course in Miracles and you respond to it in a beautiful spiritual way, and it helps your understanding and brings up to your memory the enlightenment that you already know, and this is good. And it is good to get together in groups and study this if you are in one accord. You see, yes, you see, when a group is in one accord, this is harmony, is it not? And the harmony brings about the power of God's love and His joy, and the coming together as you do on Wednesday nights and receive enlightenment and feel the great power of spirit that is here and go away feeling good. This has fed your soul. And my dear ones, you do need to feed your soul often. So many on your plane do not feed their soul at all, or very little, and they waste their incarnation.
One of the problems I've had with the, or I shouldn't say that I've had, that's the multiple understanding that so many people come up with through the years for the Bible. We end up with so many different churches and so many denominations, and there's been wars upon wars, and it seems like there's something in the human consciousness that creates derision instead of people seeing a common thread coming through Bibles and spiritual books in general. They seem to want to go opposite directions and feel one book is better than another and so forth, and cause wars. And
yes, and what is this one thing but the little self? That part of you that wants to cling to the physical, to the old way, that part of you that does not want to give up the appetites that are destructive. Yes, all of your wars are religious wars, and they are experiences that are needed. Try to think of it in this way. When you give up the concept of duality, of good and evil, time and space, and all the other dualities, then do you understand that all is God, and no matter what it appears to be like from looking at it from the surface view of this physical plane, it still has its purpose and its meaning in the growth of the individuals. And some individuals and groups of individuals make the same so-called mistakes over and over and over, and maybe 1,000 times or more, and then they awaken. But in truth, there is no time, so what does it matter? It is just experience. Think of it more as experience. And when you come to this plane, you work through this concept of time to give you, and I'll use your language, time to move from one point of consciousness to another point of consciousness and raise your consciousness. This is the way you have set it up to work yourself out of these lower dimensions. And when you get to a certain place in consciousness, then you give up the concept of duality, of good and evil, and realize that it is just all life and experience. And whatever it appears to be, God is the life force behind everything. And when I say this, remember that God has given you, because you're made in His image and likeness, He has given you the power to create. And these things that appear to be bad, you have created. The ones that need the experience have created these conditions to go through to finally awaken and realize who they are. This is a thing that you go through many times. It is like polishing the stone until it is very smooth and all the rough edges are off, and then it is bright and shiny, and it reflects the reality of life. Does this help your understanding?
Yes, I basically do. I just wanted to hear it.
It's difficult to give up the old ways of thinking of good and evil, and we cling to this because it gives us an adventure on this physical plane. For example, if it were not for the good guys and the bad guys, many of your stories would not be interesting, would they? Yes. And you have created this to entertain yourself, even in what you think of as real life, but is really illusion, the play on the stage. So you have the good guys and the bad guys in the physical, and you go through these experiences. and then you write about them in books also, and make movies of them to have this experience until the day arrives when you awaken that you no longer need that kind of adventure, that there's much more waiting for you, much, much more to life.
I felt that about the Book of Miracles. I liked the first book and the third book, but the middle one was all about the ego. And it seemed to me they never got over the ego. It kept going through and through and through. It was probably just me, but I like the other two books.
Yes, everyone responds differently to different things, and that is why there is much diversity, there is much difference in your plane, so that each one, and there are many churches, and each one that is in that church needs that experience where they are. They are in their correct place. Wherever you are, it is your right place. It is where your consciousness has placed you because of your beliefs, because of your understanding, because of your thinking patterns. It is difficult to get across to you this word consciousness and the true meaning of it, but it is the reality of your being.
Master, I have a question.
Yeah.
When you were speaking before, expressing yourself and expressing God's love and giving credit where credit is due, and say you feel like, smiling to somebody, or you feel an urge to give them a hug or give them a call, you should do it then, right? But sometimes people misunderstand that. They take it the wrong way. How should you go about it to still express it and maybe have them not misunderstand, take it in the way that it's not?
If you will give it some thought and some consideration, you will be able to communicate to them that this is friendship and not intimacy. This is what you're speaking of, is it not?
Yes, in a way.
Yes. And let them know that you enjoy their company, but it is just friendship. And it is test sometimes for you and the other individual. You're testing yourself to see how well you can handle the situation. And it is how you express yourself. So give this some thought, and in your mind, go over a conversation that where this has been taken the wrong way, and see how you could change the way that you express to make it come out to be understood in the correct way. Does this help your understanding?
Yes, it does. Would it also help to send love into the situation?
Always, always. Send love into every situation throughout your day. Send love into your every thought, word, and deed, into every encounter. This is a tool that has been given you that is so great and so powerful. Make use of it, my dear ones. This has been a beautiful time with you. It has been a wonderful time of sharing love and joy and beauty and God's countenance. And you see, as we come together, we create a countenance of God and His joy and His beauty as we share the truth together. And it remains here. And throughout your week, if you find yourself in a low place, use your inner image and place yourself in this circle and feel the power and the joy and the beauty that you felt tonight. And you will be here. You will be in that consciousness if you use that inner image and learn to use it well. It takes practice, but do use it, my dear ones. God bless each and every one of you, and God goes with you, and I walk beside you always. Good evening.
Try him.